I'm Steven Atkinson, and I'm going to be talking about CI and CD. So, I said Steven Atkinson, we're a software engineer at a company called Dootrix. There's my GitHub username and Twitter handle. So at Dootrix, we've been doing a whole lot of mobile development. So we've been doing stuff for Confused.com and Surfers Against Sewage, and we've been doing so much. We wrote a book about it, which you can download for free. So that's that link there. So I would talk to you about give you definitions of what CI/CD is, but I think it's a bit more interesting if we build something and kind of use those concepts so you can actually see why it's useful. So we're going to build an app called Scrambler. We're going to be using GitLab to host our source code. So we'll create a new project, we'll give it a name, give it public access so you can all see it later. There we have, it's created. We'll use Git Kraken to clone it to our local machine. And we'll use npx and create React app to get some boilerplate React code. And then we'll wait a bit while npm does its thing. Still going. We'll wait a little bit longer. Still going. We'll have a brew. It's changed a little bit, and it's done finally. So if we're in yarn start, we'll get our default React page. We'll commit our source code to GitLab just so it's all there, and there you go. Useful commit messages, always good. So code's all there. Awesome. There's no CI/CD yet, so we'll get onto that. We'll use GitLab CI, which is GitLab's own CI runner. There are other options available if you want to use them. So to enable GitLab CI, we'll create a .gitlab CI file, and that's just a YAML file with a bunch of jobs on there. We've got stages, we've got test and build. We can run scripts and stuff. And then when we push that to GitLab, we'll get this nice looking screen where we can see the progress of our CI pipeline, which is, yeah, nice. So we'll see all the stages as well. So we've got our test stage where we've got 2 jobs in there. So we're linting and we're running tests. And we'll get a nice console view of what it's actually doing. So we've linted our code and it's all good. We've run our tests, all good. And we've run our build step, which isn't useful yet, but it will be later on. It's all good. Ticks everywhere. But why is it useful? So yeah, I'm gonna show you. So when I'm working with remote clients, I like to put issues on there so that they know what I'm doing, and they can keep track of what's going on, and they can add comments and stuff, see if it's useful or not. You can use GitLab CI to create a branch, and when you create a branch, when you do a merge request, it'll put an action on there which will automatically close that issue. So we'll check out our branch into our machine. We'll create our default scrambler, which doesn't, just ignore the code. And we'll write some tests for it so we can use that in our CI pipeline. We'll run those tests locally. Everything's good, everything's fine. We'll run it through GitLab CI, and everything's still good. Well, then some developer comes along and says, why are you using that regex expression? You could just use, just use that. It's fine. They don't run the tests. They push, and we'll get our first hex of the day. And we'll see that the tests have failed, and yeah. It's good, but it just means that everyone can see that the build is failing, and so they won't clone it down and, push it somewhere. But yeah, we'll fix that later. We'll just finish on building the app. So now we'll update our app.js file to create a nice UI so we can actually use our default scrambler. Very basic page. That's what we get. We just get a big text input and a scramble button, so we can put in like "Hello Manchester Web," and we get our scrambled result at the bottom. Nice and simple. And now we can create a merge request after we've committed those changes. As I said before, it just creates a script on there which closes our first issue. And we can say we're targeting the master branch, so it'll merge all into master. We'll submit our merge request, and there's like just red everywhere. So that gives you an indication of you shouldn't really merge this into master until you fix these issues. So yeah, all our jobs are failing, so build doesn't run. So we'll fix that again. Test is all good. Yeah. But we still have our linting issue, which is like we took out the logo from the default page, so it says it's not used anymore. So we'll fix that by removing it, and yeah, everything is awesome again. So we'll merge into our master branch. That'll kick off a new CI pipeline job, and yeah, it's all pretty good. So we'll deploy. So we'll create an S3 bucket. We'll run yarn build, and then we'll sync that. No, that's not how we do it now. So we've done our CI pipelines. Now we need to do our continuous delivery pipelines. So as you probably noticed before in the other slides, we'll be publishing to AWS. So I've created a CloudFormation template which creates an S3 bucket which will host a static site. And I've added the deploy stage to our .gitlab CI file and added this deploy task. So I've also updated the build task so that it creates an artifact, which is just the build folder, and that'll get pushed down to our deploy task. And with our deploy job, we'll be using the Python image and using that to install the AWS CLI. There's also the when manual as well. And that just means that we have to actually click on the build for it to actually do the deploy. And we've got a few CLI commands which deploy our CloudFormation template and sync to S3. These things you have to declare in GitLab CI UI, and those are GitLab variables. We'll get to that in a minute. This is quite useful. So sometimes the CloudFormation template fails, so it's nice to get a file of all the results, all the events that happened. So we'll get all those and publish them in a stack events artifact. And we'll only run this deploy task on our master branch. So yeah, everything's all good. The deploy task isn't doing anything because we have to manually run it. But before we do that, we need to do the GitLab variables. So we'll go into CI/CD. There's a variables section. We can add all our variables in there. And then we can, click that play button. So it's running, but it's not working. It's fine. It's fine. I expected that. So in order to get it to deploy, we need to create a user in Amazon. So I've created a Scrambler GitLab user, programmatic access, giving it admin access. Don't do that. So yeah, everything's all good. We've got our access key ID and secret key. So we'll add that into our GitLab variables. We'll retry our task again. So we've created the stack. We'll see it in the AWS console. All good. We'll sync our build folder to the S3 bucket. Everything's there. We'll store our stack events.json file in an artifact. So we get it there, and we can download it and see what's happened, and we see completed events there. And we get these outputs because I've defined those in the CloudFormation template. So we go to the URL, it's deployed, and we can run it, and it's all good. So yeah, that's continuous delivery. But it's not continuous deployment because there's like two ways of saying CD. So the difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment is the fact that with delivery you have to manually deploy to production. So that means that if you have a bunch of tasks you want to do before you release, you can do all those, test them, and then you can deploy those batches of changes. And if you did want to do continuous deployment, you could just remove that when manual step in the GitLab CI file, and yeah, it'll all be good. And yeah, that's my talk.